what options did you have growing up? So freaking important. So this lady, I'm cutting her hair, she's like, what do you do for a living? I was like, oh, how do I answer that? And she's looking for, again, I've had this conversation with Eric, I've had this conversation with you, May, which is stop trying to be a job description to get paid based on that job description, which is like what everything we were ever trained to do is become a doctor, then get a master, or go do this, then get a master's degree, stay there 15 years, you'll get upgraded to this person, underneath this person, and then one day, maybe if you work really hard, you'll become that job description. You thought that was a great idea for many years. We all did, me included. I thought it was a great idea. Let me become a contractor and let me build all these things and do all this stuff for other people. I tell her, I'm like, well, I do this. And I was trying to keep the conversation dumbed down because I was in a rush, obviously, to get out. And Ashley, who has cut my hair 100 times, also a subscriber to the channel, she's like, oh my gosh, this Pace isn't telling you everything he does. He does this and 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 this. But Ashley, I told you 8 months ago to start a YouTube channel about all these cool things that you do, and how many videos have you posted? Zero in 8 months. And meanwhile, I'm creating a second YouTube channel. So Elise says, well, what's the difference then? Are you just a doer? And I go, no. For me, it was somebody else forcing me to see other options that I didn't know existed. It's like seeing the world differently. I can look at that palm tree and go, that's not a palm tree, that's a Mexican fan palm. I can look at this tree and go, oh, that's an oleander. Like, you just see things differently once you have the knowledge. And so I go, why did you get into cutting hair? She's like, I just thought it was a good career. I go, no, you didn't. Somebody else in your circumference, could have been a TV, radio advertisement, whatever else, but somebody, oh yeah, my sister does it. I was like, okay, she's older than you, right? She goes, yeah, she's older than me. Okay, so she says, look at these tips I get, blah, 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 blah. And you immediately go, there's what I'm gonna do. You weren't going around saying, here's the names of all these opportunities and these options, because you're driving down the road not knowing what any of the trees' names are. How many times have you driven by millions of types of trees, but you don't know the names of them? What do these people do for a living in these houses? Well, every time I drive by a house, I go, oh, that guy probably does this, or this person does that, or whatever else. I look at things differently. So I told Elise, I said, you're looking through a set of spectacles or a set of eyeballs that somebody else gave to you. Like, you have no control of your future because you have not stopped and said, is this the best I can do? And I go, what are your excuses? Because I have my excuses even currently in my situation of what's limiting me. And she's like, well, I don't really have excuses. I have a son. I was like, okay, well, I have a son too. There's people that have it worse and have accomplished way more. So what is keeping you back? She's like, I don't know. I just need to motivate myself. I go, no, you'll never do that either. We all need an external human being, a physical human being, to grab us by the shoulder and say, here's an opportunity you did not know existed before you met me. And not only am I gonna show you that this opportunity exists, but I'm gonna push you through it, and I'm gonna make you feel uncomfortable because I believe in you and I wanna see you succeed. And she's like, those people don't exist. And I go, they do. And they're everywhere. She kept telling me, I don't have time. So then the girls in sports clips are all like, hey, so-and-so's quitting this location and she's gonna go work at a different location. And she goes, amazing. So we're going out to the bars on Saturday night? And I'm like, you just said you don't have time. You keep telling me that you don't have time. Literally in Tempe, my community meets every Saturday at 6 p.m. Yet you're choosing, instead of going to that location, which will slowly but very assuredly change your life, you are gonna go to the bar. So again, options. You have options every single day. Eric, I like Eric's story a lot because it's like a guy who works hard, sweet human being, awesome person, has great attention to detail. The options that were laid out in front of him is what he ultimately saw his path as. And then somebody comes along, me, and I go, I noticed something about him. I'm like, dude, why, I saw your photography. Like, why are you not a full-time blah, blah, blah? He's like, I don't know, I'm not that good. Like, what? I'll hire you right now, quit your freaking job. And all of a sudden, here he is a year and a half later, he's a completely different human being. And you couldn't, if I told you have to go work at the bar tonight? Hell no. But hold on, you did it for 11 and a half years. You could not pay me $1 million to go back to being a contractor, but at the time, it was everything to me. And so it's like, what options do you currently have? And what options are you creating for yourself? I was thinking about that, like for this podcast today with Dean, he's gonna ask the question of, what does controlling your future mean to you? And I'm like, having options that I can choose what to do and have the power to go, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go do this and have fun in that process and that pivot. Whereas everybody else, this is what this girl says, okay? Elise says, but what if it doesn't work out? I said, Elise, you're 31 years old. Is it currently working out? She's like, well, my bills are paid. I'm like, okay, so if you could go back to your 16-year-old self and say, here's what you're doing at 31, and you're fearful of it's gonna work out or it's not gonna work out, what would you say? And she'd say, I'd say that this is not working out. And I'm like, okay, so your fear of failure is the reason you are currently failing, which means you're losing your life and you're not accomplishing what you were meant to do. Doesn't mean you have to have $300 million in debt like I do. It could mean you own your own hair salon and you have 4 or 5 team members on your team that you can choose to come in at 1 o'clock or choose to come in at 8 o'clock or choose to whatever, but your ability to have the freedom is the most powerful thing ever, and you currently don't have freedom. You have to clock in at a specific time. Oh my gosh, the greatest gift I could ever give you is that you don't have to clock in at a specific time. The freedom to choose whatever you want to do on a daily basis and not have total massive repercussions is probably worth $10 million. Like, think about this. Would you take a job that you had to stay in for the rest of your life that makes you show up at 8, leave at 5, now knowing that there's something all different, if they paid you $2 million a year? But you have to work there until 65. You guys have heard that thing where people go, okay, I give you $10 million today, but you don't wake up tomorrow. Do you want the $10 million? Okay, so we can agree that your life is more important than $10 million. Okay, and then there's like all these other series of questions, and you get to a point where you're like, oh wow, money really is not everything. Freedom to work on yourself, grow as an individual in an environment of other people who are doing the same thing is probably the greatest gift on planet Earth. Money is obviously very important, but it's just interesting that I would not take a job, I would not take a 9-to-5 job ever in my life. I don't care how much money you pay me. Pay me $100 million a year to go work at a job? Tell I'm 65, the answer is no. Not just no, but are you effing kidding me? She's like, well, I have to work. And I'm like, I get that, but what are you doing after hours? Like, Sports Clips is not open on Sunday, so what are you doing on Sunday? Well, that's my relaxed day. I'm like, there you go. There's the answer. You choose for like a couple of years to not have a relaxed day so that you can have the skill sets, the relationships, the experiences, and all the things that you need in order to take a day off. All these people that are asking me these questions on the IG like giveaway thing, they're like, how do you balance work life? I'm like, I didn't for 6 years. I sacrificed everything. I got fat. I got so stressed out. I was going through and sacrificing everything I could to acquire skills that I currently have today, that now I'm voice memoing you as I'm at my kitchen counter with my daughter watching YouTube at 11:40 in the morning, and I have not done a lot of work today. So there's the trade-off. It's not like you just wake up one day, Elise, and go, I'm gonna be rich. It's not how it works. And so you're not willing to put in the time. You're not willing to do the things. You get home from work and you immediately kick your feet up. So I had a student last night in my Zoom, he was sitting there in the side chat, hanging out and messaging everybody. He comes in, asks his question, raises his hand. I call on him. I go, what's going on? He goes, man, I just can't seem to find any traction in my business. I just really need to pep me up. And I was like, that's funny, because for the last 2 hours, I've been watching you in the side Zoom, the chat, talking about your Call of Duty scores and your this and your that and the new armor you just got. I'm like, how much time are you spending on video games? It's like, I don't know, a couple hours a night. It's not a big deal. Like, dude, that's freaking 15 hours a week. If you wanted to learn how to edit, how many hours a week do you think it would take you to learn how to edit to a decent level? How many months?
6 months.
Okay, 6 months. Yet he cares more about his Call of Duty thing. So it's just interesting. People choose to put a noose around their neck. It doesn't mean I don't miss stuff. I miss playing golf. I miss doing certain things. I miss going, all right, I'm going on vacation to go on vacation. I have not done that in a long time. I'm like, okay, babe, we're gonna go on vacation to Orlando in October and we're gonna go to Disney World. But why?
For work.
So it's not balance, it's integration. How do I integrate my life into into my work? But you gotta work. And you got to do that at the same time. It's like, that's a good life, dude. I get to work, have fun, meet new people, see new things, eat new foods. All that kind of stuff is like, oh my gosh, pinch me. Am I dreaming? It's freaking sick. What do all these people do for work? How are all these people making money? I see these big apartment complexes going. I'm like, where are all the jobs for these people? Not everybody's cutting hair. People are doing other things. Crazy to think about.
What about
literally all these people that were DMing me today about all these, because yesterday I did that challenge of like, ask me a question on my Instagram stories. I'd say 80% of people's questions I gave the answer of, you have friends. That's it. You have friends. Like, you change your environment, you change your everything. Change your environment, change your income. Actually, what it is you change your environment, and then you upgrade what you expect of yourself. And then either you rise to the occasion, or you find a reason to stop hanging out with those people, and you blame, I'm busy, I'm this. All those people want to do is talk about money. Well, if money was not the only measurement for success, maybe we could be like, let's go collect however many Pop-Tarts that we all can collect. Like, what else are we going to talk about? It's the thing. And then you get older and you start realizing you can create your options. That's where like true empowerment comes from, is like, I'm not happy with what's going on in my life. I'm going to go create an opportunity for myself. In a lot of ways, you created an opportunity for yourself with me. You're like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with Pace. I'm going to get around him. I'm going to make him feel comfortable with me, and I'm going to see if there's an opportunity here. You didn't know it would be like my assistant, but you created an opportunity out of thin air. Eric did too. Eric, working on the skill sets he has for photography, you created an extra door for yourself to walk through, which is just freaking cool.